When we think about educational technology in schools, there are actually three levels that influence success. It's not just a one-shot deal. We're going to talk about that next on the EdTech vlog. Hi, I'm Dr. Matt Harris, and this is the EdTech vlog. Today I'm going to discuss something with you that I talk about at conferences and with my clients in schools around the world, and that is understanding the complexity and the interconnectivity of critical elements of educational technology in an institution or a classroom or even a school district. It works for all of them. And this is a model that I have developed over time and shared with hundreds of teachers and ministries of education, school districts, all sorts of things. I've talked about this repeatedly, but I thought it would be a good opportunity here to kind of discuss with you, what does this really mean? Because we think about educational technology or technology for learning in schools, and we really don't understand the interconnectedness of the nature between maybe the devices and the learning and all of that. Where does that live? And so I've created this diagram, as you can see over my shoulder here, and there'll be a link to maybe some more information down in the comments that shows how exactly technology works within a school or district or classroom or however it works. So there are actually three levels in this triangle or this pyramid that show that there's an interconnectivity between the devices, the usage, and the outcomes. So we always start at the beginning. We always think about technology as an access point. It's not a destination, as we find in a lot of schools that say, hey, I'm going to buy a series of laptops for the kids or Chromebooks or tablets or something like that, and we're done. No, that doesn't work. But it is critical. It's a critical element within the equation, and it is a basis for the learning impact of technology within an institution. Now you're probably asking, what do you mean by access? What does that mean? Does that mean devices? Yes. Does it mean information? Yes. Does it mean internet connection? Yes. All of those sorts of things. The network at your school, the data systems and resources that are available, the online tools, the e-textbooks, the devices. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody has to have every one of these elements, but you have to understand what is available in terms of access for the teachers and the students before you start thinking about the programmatic elements in the learning. And those things have to be reliable. There has to be IT support that make those things work. The internet has to have a certain level of uptime. The devices that are available to the students, whether it's ubiquitously, like they're taking them home every night or they're only using them for a period of day, have to be reliable. And so those are all related to this access element. And you'll notice that none of them have a direct connection to teaching and learning. They really are the infrastructure or the basis of what happens within the school. They are critical. They are the money-heavy elements of an EdTech program, but they're not learning. That's not what we're really going for here by just putting these elements within a school. Now, when we create strategy, we think about this access level very deeply to ensure that we can make things happen within the classroom, but this is not a destination. And let me make that clear, because a lot of schools see this as a destination. I have to put in budget for a one-off purchase or a one-time purchase of tablets. No, that's not access. That's not EdTech. That is a beginning part of the equation that results in where you want to go. Now, of course, let's get to that second level, which is usage. So the first level is access. The second level is usage. And this is where we talk about what is done within the classroom or within learning activities, where the potential, the power, and the value of that access is now put into action. So this is how a teacher might stand in the back of the room and have kids work in groups and connect to these various resources to complete activities. There are a number of ways to accomplish this. Some of them are very powerful, some aren't. Some replicate practice, some do these wonderfully innovative things. But this level of understanding of what actually happens with the technology is critical. Because of course it draws upon the value of the layer below it, and it provides the seeds in the ground for what happens above it. And this is right at the center. And of course, what isn't right in the center of any learning activity? And that, of course, is the teacher. So your professional development comes in here, the teaching quality, the evaluative structures come in here, the expectations around types of learning, frequencies, quantity, quality, all of that comes in here and has to be equally planned for as you do in that access layer. The access layer, obviously we need to talk about replacement cycles and budgeting and all of that. But where are the curricular elements? How are you going to use the technology? How are you going to know you're successful? How are you going to support the teachers? That level of planning is just as important as the technology side. Now, I see a lot of schools that will do a lot of planning here, and then they again fail. They again don't hit the mark. And why is that? And this is where we lose a lot of schools. I think they're doing a great job because we have a strong plan for access. I'm providing good professional development resources and mentoring opportunities for my teachers, and yet I still don't know what's happening. And that's where this third layer comes in, this notion of learning or outcomes, the student element out of this. What are they getting out of the program? What are you aiming for? Are you looking for greater test scores, digital citizenship kind of outcomes, 21st century learning skills, career and vocational development, I don't know, communication skills? There's a number of them. And really the list is quite long and can be part of your planning process. But you have to have a torch. You have to have a light at the end of the tunnel or whatever it is that guides your teachers to know what they're working towards. Are we giving them technology to make learning better? Yes. What does that mean? That is such an empty statement. And so by having clearly defined student learning outcomes within your plan that are widely understood, we are looking to raise test scores in math. Great. I'm going to change what I'm doing in math to draw on the technology to ensure improvement over here. Or we want more innovative practices so that students have more grit, resiliency, creativity, and I don't know, critical thinking skills. Great. I'm going to create projects that make that happen on the second layer. Again, who's doing it? The teacher. The teacher is the central element here. But they have to have guidance on where to go. So when I see the most successful programs, or I do large-scale strategic planning around educational technology in an institution, we'll talk about all three of these layers. And we will talk about them as interweaved, connected elements rather than just standalone things that need to get focused on. We'll have exercises around what are those student learning outcomes that you want? What does your ideal graduate look like? What experiences have they had? And then backwards track. Sometimes we'll look at what is available within the school and what's realistically available within the country, location, budget, capacity for IT at the school. And we'll say, great, that gives us some parameters to look at some specific student learning outcomes and then develop teaching strategies and professional development in between. But this overall holistic view and this understanding that learning only occurs through planning across these three levels, it's what's critical for schools to have success, to have understanding, and to really get the most out of the technology they're using and not kind of end on that divorce that we were talking about before, to really extend the honeymoon period, to have sustainability and continued impact. So hey, do me a favor. Subscribe to my channel below by clicking the button below this video, and let's continue this conversation because I'll share more of my materials that I do around each of these three areas, be it access, usage, or outcomes, and I talk about them a lot. So I'm hoping to have more videos where I talk about them more in depth, talk about elements of them, how to really support your teachers, coaching aspects, sustainability structures, replacement cycles, how to fund depreciation in your schools, or even this higher level, like 10,000-foot view of what does that really look like in a school. I'll continue to talk about those things here on the EdTech vlog. If you'd like to connect with me on Twitter, my handle is @MattHarrisEdD, and I talk a lot about best strategies, new technologies, approaches to teaching and learning that hit these three areas in a multitude of ways. And I also maintain dialogue with a number of people that want to chat about these things online. So please go to Twitter, follow me @MattHarrisEdD. Hey, thanks very much for watching and have a great day.